Tegan, thanks so much for joining me, all the way from LA, California. Thanks for coming. Tell us about Gigit. You're the founder of Gigit.
Yes, Gigit is a marketplace that I started answering two problems. One was events were happening, but if it's corporate events, weddings, university events, but the process of actually booking a band is very difficult, very, very difficult, if it's discovering a new one or a very established band. So I wanted to make that process more succinct. On the other side of the market, it was more closer to my heart, are the musicians and artists. I know many, and they are not making money, and they don't have that business acumen. And so I wanted a smarter play for them. In this case, it's opening up long-tail venues. I think artists all go after the same venues, which is now a very obsolete model. It's pay to play, or the venues pay with drink tickets. It's quite silly, really. So Gigit is actually paying artists money to play music.
And what's sort of the difficulty of marketplaces is always the two-sided thing, chicken and egg problem, right? I'm sure you've heard that question often, but how do you try to solve that? What's your strategy on getting both the bands and the
It's been an amazing
bookers?
Juggling process, but I actually just thought about that very hard because I sit on a peer-to-peer panel soon. I think that there's three things going on. I think that differentiation is key, right? Telling a story and standing out for a P2P player, a marketplace, to be successful. I think the second thing is truly answering a problem. If you're just a coffee app to tell you what the best coffee is, right, it's probably not scalable. But if you're truly answering a problem on both sides of the marketplace, I think that this is helpful. And the third thing is sort of adding value to an already established vertical. So event publishers for Gigit, as well as music publishers, we are adding value. I think that for us, we've juggled pulling in a small concentrated amount in Los Angeles of bookers, and then the bands, and then going back to the product, speaking to what we've learned from the first time and changing the product a bit, and then going back to the bookers again.
And it seems everybody says of the music scene, live experiences are sort of the way forward, right?
Definitely.
So you're really catering to a growing market there.
I think that we live in a streaming world now, and you don't have to pay for music. But me as a consumer, I will pay for a live experience. And I think, like I said before, differentiation and being, niche and bespoke is a much cooler play, and it's definitely where we're seeing a trend.
And does peer-to-peer really truly exist? If you look at Airbnb, for example, I'm sure many people call you the Airbnb for music band booking, but you see that things start out as peer-to-peer, but then you get more and more professional service suppliers, so more and more people that do this professionally, renting out apartments on Airbnb.
Exactly.
What's the direction you think Gigit will take?
So already we are seeing this. I mean, the monetization of spaces is a really interesting one, and I do envision, if it's not a partnership with something like Airbnb or EventUp or any sort of space company, I see that it's quite possible for people with cool homes to upload, we call it Gigit digs, so your digs, to upload and to create a true community where they're saying, hey, I have a really rad spot. Do you want to have your gig here? If you think about the housing market, it's quite stagnated, right? It's not a seller's market. If I knew that I could look at data and see what people would be coming to this Gigit and pick and choose, I would let someone monetize my house and come and do a dinner party with a violinist. It's a really interesting way that we are looking at Gigit.
And in terms of bands, are they more like professional bands, or are there bands that do this as a hobby?
They're up-and-coming bands for sure, but I also see a market in the nostalgic bands. So the bands who have peaked and they are no longer top of mind for their managers or agents. That all being said, I've recently been invested in one of the top agencies in America, and the person sits on my board. And so to have that sort of side of the market come over and back Gigit is exciting. I think that you'll see more of us working with some bigger artists as well.
And tell us about this scene in LA. I've heard that more and more startup activity takes place, right? Tinder's from LA, Snapchat was launched in LA. It's becoming a new...
It's very cool to be a founder right now, but I think that you're quickly weeded out. You know, if you have a great idea, for sure, it's executing though, it's raising. What I like to be candid about is that it's not glamorous. I for sure am grateful and living the dream in many aspects, but it is a very taxing lifestyle as well. And there are some, you know, it's just not as glamorous.
And how important do you think is the sort of knowledge transfer between disciplines, between the tech world and the music world? We've obviously trying to open up, right, with Tech Open Air, and the feedback from the music scene is great so far. They've been saying finally they sort of get access to technology because it obviously did disrupt the music industry, almost like no other industry in the world. And they would like to find out more about technology and exchange.
I think that, yeah, the more companies that are successful on the data side of things, the big data, which is actually a play for Gigit as well, I think that because the music industry is so volatile right now and it's not making as much money, I think that that's what's most exciting, is that people are more open to looking at the music plays, as it were. Yeah.
And maybe finally, what do you think? Like, what are other huge trends for the future in music at the intersection of technology? Is there anything? I mean, is Spotify really the last?
I think it's a
the
collaboration.
last thing we need as music lovers.
I do think it's a collaboration between, you know, these massive publishing giants and not just going after these huge festivals. I think it's about bringing it smaller. I keep calling it the after party version 2.0. You know, where you can actually talk to someone in a room. So I think it's about content, user-generated content, plus data, plus the X factor. Everyone wants to be effing cool, right? And I think that when you do something like a more bespoke experience, you are then cool. So I think it's the intersection of those three things.
Thanks so much.
Sure,
Thanks
not at all. Pleasure.